let's do it.
Okay, welcome everybody. And this is the Noyantis News User Group, 30th of January 17. And presenter myself, John and Lisa, and a few others are still joining as we speak. So that's good. John, I can't see the option to share my screen.
Oh, you have to be the presenter. Hold on.
Ah, yep, that would be an option. Yep, thank you very much. Okay, so I'm not sure. Obviously, it's over to yourselves for questions and so on. I know we've already had one question emailed in, so we're from Bill. So we'll be coming to that shortly. But a quick recap on updates from last week. I'm going to put David on the spot at the moment. So, David, you got a microphone? No, possibly not.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Can you hear me there?
Yes, we can. Yep. So one of the things we discussed last week in last week's webinar was the property grid and being able to load basically from a table or option from a window definition. As usual, these things are a little more complicated than first envisaged. But I can show you where we're up to, and I know, John, this might be something for yourself as well. So let's just take a quick look. And new options we have on the actual property grid is within the extension. Sorry, it's a window control. This one, we've placed it on the window. And basically, we've got a couple of extra options appearing in here now. So we can see whether it's the source is a file / variables, because it could be some local variables as well. List control was already there, manually loaded, queue, and template was already there. And then we've got window definition. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to, because it's not fully working, so let's get rid of that and we'll recreate a form. So probably something akin to how you hopefully envisage it working. So just going to create a basic form. Do you know, that's not a true basic form, is it? Let's get rid of that. Default. That's more the one. So yes, we could have something like that. Of course, we would have all the nice buttons and so on, what you want. We're going to say we're updating the customer table. And the way I see it working, again, open to all feedback from everybody, but we'll just draw a property grid. And then we'll set the settings on here. Leave all those as default. We'll go with coming from a file. Now this is where the new options. I've still left a category in there, just in case you do want to categorize everything. You know, the different questions. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to say, okay, a default category with no name. And then we'll say what items we want in the category. And in here, I can say it's a field. And of course, I can go and choose any particular field I need. Or I can say it's from a file. So I can say it's a customer file, but I want to exclude the code, for example, or exclude, and so on and so forth. And that's it, basically. Let's take a look at that in action. It's called off this browse here. Oh, and one thing I should have really shown is the dictionary. So on that, I've added quite a few fields just for purely for testing. So we've got some name and address ones, but then I've got some different things of, we can see we've got a byte, a C string, date, decimal, basically the different types that we can envisage. But then I've got a long, which I want displaying as a time. So it's defined as a long with a time picture. That's defined as a long with a date picture. That's a Boolean, so it's a byte, but I want it as a checkbox. That's got some radio options. Might be better if we actually show you that. So yeah, on the byte, it's got the must be true or false. We've got a radio, so we want those options presented as radio. This is an option, but I want them using as a drop list. We've got a checkbox, but this checkbox has different values. And we've got a memo. But the main thing is on that is it's a memo. I use C strings with SQL. It's because it's screen control as a text. So seeing that in action, oh, hang on, that wants to be an MDI window. Okay, the window threw me there. Okay. Did it not want to be an MDI? What's the definition of the other update form? No. That's nothing to. That's purely my example application. That's nothing to do with the property grid we've just added. Okay, so here we can see we've got our company name and the address, and it should have picked up the various different ones. So that's a byte, that's C string, decimal, so we can put decimals into there, but of course we can't put decimals into there. I could put a decimal into a real. Our date has picked up as a date. The Boolean has now come in as, it's the date what was dropped down, that was through me. The Boolean, the radio's picked up, and the drop list has also picked up.
Oh, yeah.
So, but you can see where I'm up to. The checkbox A and B should really have A and B in there rather than and so on. So basically, yeah, it's starting to take shape. A lot more work than I expected, reading it all out of the dictionary and so on and so forth. But fine, and that. So I very much doubt it'll be released this week, but I'll probably have a beta by the weekend if you're interested, and I'll make that. But it'll only be the table; it won't be the window one. But is that how you envisaged it working?
Yeah, that looks good.
Cool. And like I say, you can exclude. So hypothetically, we'll exclude facts and balance. We'll take those out. So if we just go to this, and on our source, wrong example. On our source, let's just say we already excluded one, customer code. Yeah, we'll take the facts and balance out as we said as well. So, and they're now at the list. So basically, yeah, you've got the option. I caught my headset. Sorry. Hi, can everyone hear me? Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, I just caught the plug for the headset. So we have the option on this to basically put them all in very quickly, as we just have done. Or we could, if we wanted, put them into categories. And even if we did that, so let's remove that category and we'll go with the ID, and we'll just specify the fields individually. So it's a bit more laborious, granted, but it does give you a bit more control over the view of it. And of course, the beauty of this is it's going to pick up all the things from your dictionary, so you're keeping all your code in a common place. And then we'll just have one. Oh no, look at that. That puts just some of the test, just for demonstration purposes. So some of the test ones in this one. Be nice if we could find a way of multi-selecting, but can't see that at the moment.
Yeah, that seems to be tough to do.
But it would definitely be easier. And then, last but not least, we could have an all. So now this time we could mix and match. And on this one, we could say we want it to be just a file. So we're expecting 3 categories: an ID, a couple of fields in the test, and the all. And there they are, all built.
Yeah, that's pretty slick.
So it's going to be one hell of an easy way to get your property grids populated in your application. So
because it is all those little details, of getting the stuff out of the dictionary, getting them into the right, types.
Yep, definitely.
All that stuff you got to do anyway. So
yeah, marrying them up. Oh, that's a real, but I've got to put it in as a decimal. That I want to be required, because it will pick up on the prop required. So if I try an OK, no, typical. It's picked up on the standard dictionary. But if a field is set in your dictionary to be required, then that will kick in. So if I put that to 0, it's still the one kicking in. But just as you can set within the template a field to be required, equally this will come in as required. If it's set in the template, well, I haven't done it yet, but the other attributes, e.g. read only, justification, left, center, right, all those want to be picked up on as well. Basically, as much as possible out of your screen definition from the dictionary wants to be brought in.
Right.
So yeah, that's really it. So
yeah, that's kind of what we're doing when we're building the screens anyway there, right? So
yeah, so that should definitely make it easier.
One out of the dictionary, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously that normally we'd have that as a different font and so on, but that is definitely a faster way of getting the content into the property grid. So yeah, it's definitely a way forward. So
looks good.
Okay, I shall keep you informed.
Yeah, thanks.
I have a question for you, Andy.
Yeah, fire away.
Phone numbers, like phone number formatting.
Yep.
I don't know how you would do that with this, like to get the format for it, but also international formats, like with the country code in front.
Mm-hmm.
How would you do that? Like the example that you distribute has just like the normal formatting for a phone number, but not the country code. So I didn't know how to do country codes.
Okie dokie. So I haven't seen a phone number like that.
I just don't know how to handle them. Yeah.
I think that comes out of the mask. Let's just take a quick look at that one. So it's on here. So yeah, basically we can see now it's picked. That's just got to ignore that. That's just its default value. But basically, I'm passing it a mask. Set item mask. Now I happen to have the source code open at the side of me because I've been in it quite a lot. So there's the mask and the literal. What do I mean by that? Right, 2 seconds. Let's take a quick look at the Kojak help to see what they mean by it. Because we passed 2 things to it. So it's a set mask, property grid item. So it's the mask and the literal. Okay. So the mask is, and it has to adhere to this particular structure. And the literal let's just find the prompt area of the mask when where the text entry is allowed. It should match the area that you have already defined as a mask. Okie dokie. All right. I get that, I think. Okay, so for international, so you obviously mean something along the lines of +44 or 001, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I should imagine it'd just be a case of building it, obviously, to be longer. So let's take a quick look. I suppose we can quickly knock this one around, can't we? So I set it something along the lines of that. I would have put an entry level, a mask on it. There it is. So I suppose you could put a... Now US is 001, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just one usually, yeah.
Well, yeah, sorry, no,
We don't usually put the 00 in front, but just
see, I'm just thinking, yeah, normally we're just
1509.
Yeah. Because you could have, well, the international codes can go up to 3 digits, can't they?
Yes.
Yeah, so there would have to be something along the lines of that, and then whatever you want. Thing afterwards, so I'm thinking +44, 1, 6, 2, 3.
Is it easier just to make a separate field, maybe? I don't know.
So that'd be along the lines of Noyantis. If we wanted to do, it looks long, doesn't it? Looks very long. That does look long. I'll give it a default of our so I think you, that long enough to, yeah. But I don't know if that really answers your question. All I've done is really make what's there longer. How do you see it working, or?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think about ways to handle it. I mean, your phone number format's different, I guess, from our format number.
The UK you would have, so you'd have to allow for either you put a 0 or if it was international, it would be the +44, and then it would be the area code, which could be 4 or 5 digit. Sorry, 3 or 4 digit, and then the number on the end. So if that was a London number, it'd be just 3 digit, or 0207 or 0208. Sorry, 0 being that one. So if that was internally. Oh, you see, that's awful how it does. Yeah, it's not the nicest. Not nicest at all.
So it looks like I'd have to change the mask. I might have to change the mask depending
on the country.
Country is, huh?
Yeah, but even that then, okay, I'll put this to a simple UK number that I can think of, okay? So, but yeah, it's not going to. You highlight a good question there. So let's get rid of, we noticed that, so it'll be along the lines of 1623. If you're just doing a local, an application for local use, UK use, okay, it would be along the lines of which is what you saw a minute ago. And we'll get rid of that. And the literal can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that looks perfectly fine. But if that was a London number, or let's say a Nottingham number. See, I'm North Nottingham, which is area code 5 digits followed by 6, but it could be a Nottingham centre number, which is 0115. Then you would have your space. Then it would be 9, but of course it doesn't really fit, so it's 0115 9 78 1900. So, yeah, you pose a. I mean,
Maybe just not use a mask at all.
the maths are restrictive. Yeah, they're very good to make sure you only put in what you want in there. A bit like the key in template and the maths of the pattern mask of Clarion. So they're good from that point of view, but of course, the minute you start applying things like that, they are by their nature restrictive.
Yeah.
I mean that. If you saw that on the signpost, on a van, on literature, that would be acceptable. It's still a valid number, and so on. But for the international, like you do 1-800, we would do, ours would be 44800. So straight away, you're going to have to allow for a couple of digits, if not 3, just for the country code, which is not really, like say, that's alien to you. You wouldn't really put 001. And we wouldn't put 044, to be fair. We'd only put +44. So I think it might be prudent to maybe just have it as, okay, a country drop down, so you could, from the selection of the countries, have your different, set the mask accordingly, and then the phone. Set to a particular mask of whichever country you have, so you know certain countries might be 5 and 6, or you might set yours out in 3 sets of numbers, that type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, you could have people just type it in the way you want. But then different people type it in different ways. Some people put the parentheses in the area code. Some people don't.
Yeah.
Some people use the dashes between the numbers or spaces between the different numbers. I mean, it's just, how in the world do you be consistent with this?
I mean, I do get the thing of restricting it for the numbers, because we do data transfers from various different systems into ours, and you'll come across a phone number, and yeah, it might have a number in there. Chances are they've missed out, if it's localized data, they've even missed out the area code, so they won't even have the 0115 in there. They would just have 978 1900, which is a local number, would be valid. I could pick up the phone now and just ring 978 90. Oh no, I couldn't, because I'm not in Nottingham Centre. But you know what I mean. I could ring a local 01623 number, and I wouldn't have to put the local code in.
Right.
So you've got that type of thing. And yeah, we do a data transfer, and you will get other stuff in there. So you'll get a localized number, and then you'll get the words EXT 1020, so extension 1020. So they're starting to put extra junk in the phone number field, and all of a sudden it kind of loses what it's there for. So I do like the idea of the key in templates, and they restricting the data entry to what they should be. It kind of does make sense, but it does pose questions, as we said. I think for yours, I probably have it, and if I was doing it, afresh and something like this, I'd probably have a drop down for international, a drop down of the countries, and then so that you could quite easily have a quick queue of the countries and the dialing codes of those countries. I mean, that's dead easy. And then basically the number underneath, where you can only enter just numeric characters, but let them put it, if they want to put 0115 space 978, great. If someone wants to put 0159 space 78, equally, it's just as good. So maybe just let them do it that way.
Yeah. Paul says, can the mask be changed dynamically based upon an etymological field in the record, country or locality.
I'm just opening the questions. I just saw that pop up there, and
Yeah,
saw the thing,
right.
but I didn't see it. Yes, the math can be changed. It's like any of the controls, any of the properties on the controls, and so on. So not just the property grid. We're talking the whole tool set here, but basically, yeah, we could nothing stopping us here putting a clarion button, pressing it, and changing the particular mask. So that's what I was saying. You could really imagine this was part of the phone number entry. So you could say country, and you'd be able to choose the country, and choosing that would change the mask dynamically to something, for that particular country. More work granted, but it definitely gives you what you're after. Of course, you need to know what the type of structures are for the different countries, and you might just give yourself a lot of work there. But it's definitely doable.
I know, that's the thing.
Yeah. Step one could be a drop down of the countries, because that gives you your dialing codes behind the scenes. That's nice and simple. In fact, in my Trando application, which handles all the Noyantis customers, the country code does exactly that. It has a country selection, but that behind the scenes gives me the time difference and the international dial code for that particular customer. So if you want the data, John, I've got them probably in the initialization of that system, so I can pass you them. So I'd probably go with that, and then just a simpler setup for the phone number to start with, just a mask which only allows 10, 11, 12 numeric characters, and let people put them in. So at least you're going to get the proper data in there, and not a load of junk like extension 1020. But it might just not be the format that they're used to seeing it. But it's definitely a good step. It's a good default step.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay. And did you? I take it the dynamic building of the grid, which you just saw, then that could be that probably come in handy with yourself for your system, won't it?
It could be as soon as you get the DLL thing working, so that I can just plug it in.
Okay. Oh, cheap shot, but okay, fair enough.
every time, every time. I'm gonna bring it up.
Okay.
Yep. No, I will.
So now I know we've got. Oh, okay, because we did have Bill, but he seems to have disappeared. That's fair enough. No, I'm sure he'll be back soon. Because Bill emailed just today to say he's got a report control question, but he didn't tell me what the actual question was. He just said it was to do with report control legacy. So we shall wait and see. Any other questions while we're waiting then?
Report control.
Yep.
Buttons in cells.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's bring that.
Did we
Bring
ever figure that out?
buttons in cells. Yes. Yeah. I thought we did.
Yeah. I don't
Oh,
know.
I better check actually.
We talked about it.
Yeah, you've got me wondering now. Better quickly have a quick look. Okay, let's open up the example and we'll take a look. Okay. While that's opening, I'll just open the class at the side of us just to make sure we have got it good to go. Okay. I'll set that compiling and I'll just have a look. I thought the last build included some aids to let you get the actual the report control button in cells in there. If not, we can take a quick look here now.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it, but I hadn't really followed up. So maybe.
Yeah, no, we can. It's as good as any. So according to the help, the update history, we've got the inline filters, inline search. Yes, we know those. And we thought person the tab key. Button accepted. Display. Do you know what? Let's just do a search. Now, this is a manually populated one, I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Button.
My screen's not refreshing for some reason. Andy, if you're showing anything, I can't. All I can see is the. Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, so
There's your mouse.
Yeah.
You must have been off screen.
I was off screen. Sorry about that. It's quite rude. But I was just quickly running through process dependence.
Okay.
There was a whole host to do with in-place buttons. No, it's not the. So we're just talking about simple report control, getting the data in there, and the in-place button. So obviously it's linked to edit in place. We know that much. It seems crazy. No, it looks like I thought this work was done because our new inline facility uses. Hang on, no, we have done something on this because I demonstrated it to Arnold. We had a little BMW button. I'm confused now. Okay, let's take a step back. I'm waffling, but yeah, well, I've demonstrated this, so I'm a little confused myself. What is it we're trying to achieve? You want to be able to place a button in there, I take it?
Yeah, or a couple buttons maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It could pop up a lookup or something like that. I was actually looking at when Windows gives an alert, it slides out at the bottom.
Right.
Although I guess that's kind of different report control, but let me think. I actually had alerts, an alert thing that's in report control. And I like to have buttons on the side that said dismiss or snooze, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Right on that line.
So they appear literally here. So we can say a button.
Yeah.
There. So
yeah.
let's just take a look at that example, the edit in place, because I have to admit,
or even underneath it, I don't know how flexible it could be.
You have
a separate cell.
Well, you have
it
a
might
choice.
just be buttons in it.
No, you have a choice, and we'll go to a particular column. We'll stick with the from. In place buttons, right? Okay, I remember putting this in. So you've got the definition, and we can have a button. We'll call it Noyantis if we want it outside the cell, and we'll give it our NYS icon, and we'll have Clarion Live outside the cell. I haven't got a Clarion Live icon, I don't think. So we'll have that as a cancel the icon.
No, this is an edit in place thing, right?
Well, it has to go into edit mode.
Or is it not?
Do you want it in? I mean, you can make it so it's equivalent of read only, but you're still going to have to activate it. So there's our buttons there. So I mean, yeah, because I think if memory serves, I think the edit in place only actually kick in. Where you say you want it just actually on the end.
Yeah. I think it'd be nice if it was just there right now. I mean, I didn't have to double
Okay.
click on the cell to see the buttons.
Okay, let's see what Kojak say. In place button, property grid, report control. Let's see if we can backtrack a bit on this. Okie dokie. Just trying to find the actual code so we can, find it, add it to. Let's come back to a cell. Control record item. It'll be under the item. Now, currently, we'll be doing it by the add button, add expand button, add spin button, add in place button, so on and so forth. But like I say, they do. I think there's a setting to say whether the in place buttons do appear all the time from memory. Is that the report control? Show non-active in place buttons. Okay, so that could well be what we're after. Just taking a quick look in the class to see if we've already done it. Okay. Just so I know that we are working to the right thing, though, you basically those two buttons which I'm on about there, you just want them appearing basically now, so they
all the time. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So to look for this, for anybody who ever goes into this, I'm going basically from the highest level, so it's report control, and I want to try and see where that property comes in. We know it's got one, and the property is called show non-active in place buttons. So I just want to know at what point. Now, it looks like it's part of the paint manager, according to the help here. And the reason I've got that is I've got the thing, I've found this show non-active in place button, and it said take a look at the paint manager. So that's going to be a very good place to start. So we'll go to report control, paint manager, and hopefully it's under here. Yeah, there it is. Now we have within the class set paint manager property. So we'll put it on a temporarily. We'll just put it on a button down here, a checkbox, so we can see it, turn it on and off at runtime to see what the actual actions are. Actually, that should really be in a checkbox. Would have been better. Come on. So it would be report control, set paint manager property. The property is that, and its value is going to be our LV show. Don't know whether I want to repaint after that. Possibly not. Don't seem to have made much of a difference.
No.
Make sure it has set it. Show active in place buttons. Oh, it doesn't return you. Okay. Okay, there's more than one way of doing that. We can just do set property. And it will be paint manager dot. And we'll just get it that way. And we would probably have to paint manager refresh, get it to refresh the redraw the control. Sorry about this. Set property. Oh, okay. Seems that doesn't return a value. Okay, there's more than one way of doing that then.
The third way.
Yeah, we'll just go straight to the actual raw. Now, let me make sure that that returns one. No, it doesn't. Okay. I was going to say, okay, right, we're going to hash of this then. Right, we'll just go back to our original. I'm not quite sure. We'll put some... To the help, set to true to show non-active in-place buttons. By default, non-active buttons are not displayed. So you understand to move a window. And the item must be clicked to display the button. Something still tells me this is still going to be in edit mode though. That's the only thing. And one quick thought. For the example, because I don't have to put the license in, I'm quickly using 16.3. Let's just make sure the control did actually appear in 16.3. We might be using a new property.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was there, so that's perfectly valid. I'm confused. There's no reason why I shouldn't do it. Okay, I'm just going to get the property before. We'll set it, and then after.
So that's applying to the entire report control then, right? Not just a
Yes.
cell.
Now I take it you want it just on one particular row.
No, I was just wondering. I mean, it's fine.
Oh, what did I miss?
It's every.
What have I missed now? So before is not. No, not setting it. Wow. Then I have to admit, a little confused. Don't know what to suggest there, John. I'll have to do some digging to see why those buttons aren't actually coming in.
Okay, it's not like a critical thing.
Oh, hang on a second.
It would just be a nice thing.
They are. It's just the in-place buttons aren't. If I press there, even though it's reporting false, all these are now, now showing. Yeah, I didn't pick up on them.
Showed up, yeah.
So it's just the in-place buttons don't. So they're not active. They are obviously when you double-click onto the actual control. But the in-place don't. That's a shame. Because what I was thinking is whether you could put have a column dedicated to the actual thing, but even that wouldn't do it for you.
Oh yeah, no.
You know, I think years ago there was a template called Virtual Edit in Place, which took a Clarion form, painted it into a row for the edit in place, and tagged the little tick and cross on the end. It's quite a nice template, you know, at the time, back in the Clarion 5.5 days. So that would be a nice effect, but again, with it being one of the other the in place buttons, then it's not going to have the same effect for us. According to there, it only covers combo, expand, and spin, which is probably what we're looking at there.
Which is what we're seeing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a shame. So the answer at the moment, according to the Kotak help there, is no. So try to think if there's any workaround. So what are we trying to achieve? So you would want those buttons just on that, but of course you would see them all the way down because the buttons would be available on all of them. But that's what you're after. So it's equivalent of those all the way down, so you can quickly say tick or cross on an alert, that type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I kind of
almost do it with XAML, but we don't get any XAML button events yet, I guess, because you could do it that way too. I could draw the whole thing out.
We don't have. You could, but yeah, it's getting the thing back. I use XAML, but I only use it really for display purposes, not to interact. So a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Could you put it maybe like on a right mouse click button or something?
The right mouse click, yes, no problem. And we mentioned the dependent buttons last week.
Yeah.
So you know you've got that ability. It could be a couple of buttons either on the screen, or for that matter, you could hide them, but still put them on the right click. But you're not gonna have them there and then. But the right click,
No, they just wouldn't be visible.
Yes, I'm trying to.
If I just click on a row cell, I get an event back on that, right?
You can also, if you click on it
If I just click on a cell, I get an event that tells me which row and column it
Of
is.
course, yeah. And we could probably make it so by clicking on that, it makes it active. Currently, it's on double click, but I think you do have the option. It's ages since, I mean, literally years since we did this, but on the edit in place, inline controls, no.
Well, maybe I could just put an image in there when I click on that row cell. I could make it act like a button.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see on where you can get it to double click or single click, to edit to activate the edit in place. I thought there were some settings on that. It's called. Could have a quick look in the class. Nope, double click, set edit click. Okay.
I thought that was in the template.
I thought it was in the template before, to be honest. Let's have a quick look. There's a method call for it. No, okay. We'll set it. Oh, not that one. So in the init complete, so we know that it's gone and done all its particular jobs. Dot set edit click, and it wants there's properties. That's why it does it. Yeah, I think they are properties. I'm just having a look now, John. Are they private ones? Let me bring it into focus. There's the code in the class. So I'm going to set that to true. Okay, and the code jock help for edit click determine whether an item is edited by single or double. So we're going to put it on single. So the minute we click on that particular cell, we want those buttons to become active. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, which we are now. And I suppose if we made that read only, that would give you the effect that you're after.
Yeah.
Can't turn that off because that'll stop what you're after. There's our buttons. Obviously, you can. Okay. Just jumping back, trying to find we're blatantly cheating here, but that's fine. So I'll bring that into here. What we're going to have a look for is report control. Let's jump back on.
Hey, no cheating.
Report control. Hi, Roberto.
I know.
Record item. No. Members item. We'll get there eventually. So what we want is that, but we want it to be, it's got to be editable to activate what we're after, but we also want it to be read-only. No. But I'll tell you what you could do there, John, is maybe have a cell on the end, no value in it, with 2 edit in place buttons. Well, it depends on how many buttons you wanted. So that basically they appear down at the. Oh no, it'd only appear when you clicked on it, which wouldn't really be. How many columns are you going to have in this the alert system? 1 or 2 or?
Well, the alert shows up in one column, I think, and then the last columns. I'd like to have it underneath it, but I don't know. I think that's hard too.
Don't think you're going to get it. You're not going to get. You're not going to get it underneath.
I don't know. I can't do what I want to do.
I don't think you're going to get them underneath. An in-place button, you can get them outside of the cell or actually inside of the cell, but that's your limit. You're not going to get them to go underneath.
Yes, I just want too much.
Oh.
And you're going to want to allow them to do multiple selections from it? So like to be able to dismiss more than one.
Dismiss a bunch. Yeah, and the way I've got it now, really, I've got the buttons at the top, and it's just, you highlight the record, and then you can say, I could highlight a bunch of them, just click the button at the top, instead of having them in row, I guess. So I can go that way. I think that's the best way I actually went. But I still like the flexibility at some point to be able to put buttons in the way I want it.
Well, we've done. I mean, we fumbled around quite a lot there, but I don't think it's quite going to meet your requirements. I've just turned the edit in place off on that, and of course now I'm not going to get.
It's not quite there.
He's not going to get your finger. That one's on. Yeah, you definitely won't get them underneath. If you've only got one, so the equivalent of, can't we move on this? So, with the equivalent of say just one overall row, then you could have it so you could click on it, but it's going to be editable. We've got to try and find a way of getting that not editable, as in read only, but still have all the edit events. Yeah. Got to be a way.
Well, we can set it aside for now. It's not.
Yeah, well, it's just
something that's holding up any.
Just wondering.
There were a couple more questions.
Yep, we'll take a look now. Just select text on edit, in place, button count. Just have a look at this. Anything from a constraints point of view that you could put on there. So you could say you have it so it's editable, but the constraints are so tight that you can't actually do anything on it. Trying to cheat it that way.
Right.
You could possibly that way. What about having it the checkbox? You can't edit the checkbox, but it still becomes editable. So you can maybe some kind of acknowledge marker, and as you click on it, you got the buttons of whatever you want the buttons to be, delete, so on and so forth, and cheat that way. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Because you have got that. So that's one of the options you have got of whether you can edit the checkbox item. So
right,
might be an idea for you.
Okay.
And if nothing else, you could have it as just like you have in Outlook, viewed and so on and so forth. So the alert still stays there. They're just acknowledging that they've seen it.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions, like you say. Moving on then. So, Michael, any progress with the particular options for those? Obviously, can't see the question. Michael's got from previous user group meetings. He's got questions regarding the original resize and split before Capesoft took it over. And no, the fix of that will go in the next build, Michael. There's no problem on that, but it's just a matter of me having to put a Clarion build together with that template instance in and not the Capesoft resize and split. Basically, what's happening there for everybody else's knowledge, what's happening there is we have support for easy resize and split and Clarion's resizing and Mike Hansen's super resize and so on. And what the templates do is they calculate the class name of the other products. So it saves you having to type and link and so on and so forth and having to work out the class name of one particular object. The templates do it all for you. Well, of course, when Capesoft took over resize and split, that got upgraded accordingly in the how it calculates the particular class name, leaving behind the old resize and split. Michael's still on the old one, which I believe was via was it Ingersoft or Motleysoft, one of the two. So we just need to put basically a support in there for that. So if it detects it's got the easy resize and split template, then if it can't calculate it via the Capesoft method, which is probably going to still remain the default method, then we'll go on to the other and look for the old one. So no, it's not in there at the moment. The fix isn't that big a fix, but it will have to go in with a general build and so on, which we are more frequent now, which is good. The number 2 was the snooze. Now, we covered that last week, and that was the calendar. When you snooze an event, there's nothing stopping you actually doing that at present yourself, but of course it means more work. It's better if the template does it. And basically what that is, just for the extra people who are here this week, is you have on a recurring event, we'll bring up last week's webinar, so we can quickly just show it. So now I'll just use a recurring, but what we were saying, for those who haven't seen the webinar from last week, is when you put an event into the calendar, that one event it's only occurrence. That's simple. So there's one, that's one, and that's one. When you put a recurring event in, you put one master event in, and you give it a pattern to say, so this pattern on this one is repeat, looks like every weekday. So you can see it repeats and so on. So you've only got one record, one event goes into the stored in your database, one event goes into the calendar, and the calendar automatically applies the recurring pattern for you. Any exceptions to that, like that, have to be stored as an exception. Now, I'm not going to go into all that again. Last week's webinar does give a more detailed description of it and so on. But basically, the nooks of it are if you dismiss a reminder, then it's wiping the date and time of the actual event. Now, that's an occurrence. We should really be storing that, just like we have stored change to that occurrence. Instead of starting at 9 a.m., it's going to start there at 10:30 a.m. and so on. So you would store that occurrence to say originally 9, now at 10:30, and you apply the occurrence like so. Same with the reminder. That's exactly how it's going to be implemented. So you could and you should allow for in your exceptions table basically the reminder settings to say, reminder 0, so don't remind. So if this, hypothetically, let's go into recurring and reminders. So we've got fire inspection. Where is fire inspection? Oh, there, that one. If that one, we'll say all, and we'll give it a reminder. Oh, there it is. Now when we go in, there you go. We've got some reminders for this week. In fact, that one's quite a considerable amount of time overdue. So, but what basically, if we was to delete one of these, we store that has been deleted. If we've moved it, we store its new move time. what we're going to have to expand, and we should do in your database design, is store on your exceptions that you don't want a reminder. So our master one wants a reminder, and it has got them accordingly, but your exception shouldn't have the reminder, and that's what's happening here. So no, the template change will be along the lines of reminder dismissed. It'll pass you the occurrence and the event, sorry, the record ID and the occurrence ID, which is the event, so that you can store that just like you do in the data in the delete at present. So you can store that in your database as well. But no, that's not done. I've been at the start of the webinar. We were showing the changes to the property grid, and they've basically taken the bulk of the time available this week. And last but not least was at the end of last week we covered some of the built-in standard clarion functions that you can do in the navigation type products, which are command bars, shortcut bar, task panel. And you can call certain standard commands. So if you had a clarion menu bar and you could say put a close button on there and give it a standard ID of standard close, and you can do tile windows, but the help ones aren't covered. And at the present, no, they still got to be done. So, Michael, in basically in a nutshell, no, the three are still in progress. Work is going on the templates, but yeah, they're still in progress. Roberto's got a couple of questions. So, Roberto, is your mic still open?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So you got a couple of questions from David.
Actually, they're Dave questions.
Okay.
I think it's the same questions he posted last week. He's wondering about the fix for corrupted text when scrolling with the arrow keys. Did you see that video that he sent?
Yes, yeah, I've replied to him. Okay.
Oh.
What he's to do
He's
with
just wondering if you have that fixed or not. I don't know, something like that.
No, not at present. I've got the fix off him. I have replied to him and thanked him accordingly and so on. But
Okay.
yes, Dave Bratovich found an issue, and it's within the syntax editor. Now, I'm not sure whether this has come about newer version of the code job control, or whether there's a change in the class, although not really changed that much to be honest. But we're not sure how it came about or when it came about. But ultimately, if you scrolled up and down a long document in a syntax editor,
You want the little video?
I've got it somewhere. Yeah.
I'll post it on the questions there. I've got the link for the screencast that he did. Or there's no chat, so
Okay. Let's have a quick look. But the fix is literally just a one-line fix.
Right.
So it's just a matter of getting it out. But basically, I think it's to do with the speed that you scroll. So you scroll and you can get a repaint issue where it doesn't really keep itself up to date. Which now that's within the ActiveX control itself. But the fix is a standard clarion display command, which is a bit crazy because you wouldn't expect the two to know of each other. Not from a screen update point of view at that point, but that's a fix nonetheless. So I shall be trying it and I'll be putting it in, and that'll be an update to the syntax editor. So no, not at present. It's not on the scheme of things. It's not a burning one, but it will get out. It will get fixed this week because of it's so small. And what was the other? Do you know?
Let's see. The other, he's wondering about mouse events pass through with command bars.
With the command bars, yes. No, I'll email him afterwards. I'll email him. Yeah, for the point of the webinar, it's a bit thingy, but yeah, I'll email him afterwards. It's not a problem.
And the other one is clearing for Windows form sync with standard report controls. And I guess
I will cover them. They're going to be in the next build.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be. They're the
Those are
buttons.
the
We've got dependent buttons, but we actually want the equivalent of the. We've got a browse no records button for report control. We've got the equivalent of, but we want the actual equivalent of insert, change, delete, and select and view. Those type of ones. So, and some of them are very simple. You know, the delete, nice and simple. As I said last week, the key there is going to be getting the data out of an update or an insert and putting it back into the queue, putting it back into the report control.
okay.
So we've got a hand up for Bill. So, Bill, can you hear us? Sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to.
Did Bill go away?
No, Bill's got his hand up, and I know he's got a question for us. Ah, he's here. Hi, Bill.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hey, if you go back over to this, might be a real simple question. I was hoping to have a little example drawn up, but I didn't get it finished yesterday. If you go back to where property grid you were at earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to, I think it was the customers.
Like so. Oh, well, there's no data in this
Yeah,
one.
that one right there.
Yep.
Okay, I'm not. The question actually concerns the browse. So
okay.
if you close there, if you close cancel, see how you've got a multi-line browse there?
Yes.
And my question is, can a report control be added so that let's say if using your customer, if he had no balance and you didn't have a memo for him, then he might be just one single line across there. And then if he had a balance, it might go to 2 lines in width. And if he had a memo, then you'd have 3 lines. First one showing the customer info, the second one showing the balance info, and the third one showing the memo.
Yeah, under condition though. So.
And then the next person may just be a customer, so he may not have any balances or any memos, so he'd be just a single
line. Yeah.
Single row. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're thinking is, hypothetically, 3 customers. First one, line only, brand new customer. Second one, existing customer. They've got a balance, but it's a new balance. So you want to show it, but it's a new balance. And the third one is they've got a balance, it's overdue, and you've got some notes in the memo, maybe highlighting discussions with them or something like that.
Right. I guess what I'm looking at is like when I'm looking at your browse there. If you add every customer that you add would take the row across would always have. It looks like it's 3 or 4 lines.
Yeah, we'll put some in. We'll just quickly, very, very quickly, put one in. Oh, this is. I won't do it because. Let me bring in the other example. Very, very quickly. Let me bring in the other example into the this week's webinar.
I mean, it may not be able to be done, but
you wouldn't do it. You can do what you're after. That's not a problem. But I'd probably just tackle it a different way.
Because what it is I've got one that's similar to that, where it's like that we deal with boat dealers.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
And oftentimes they'll have just a boat that they sell that won't have a motor or a trailer on it. And then the next one they have might have a packaged motor built onto the boat. So that would take up 2 lines. And then the third possibility might be it's a boat, motor, and a trailer combination. So with that, I would want that to be 3 lines across.
Yeah.
And right now it's eating up space like yours is there.
Yeah.
Where each one takes up the same equal amount of space.
Now we're using the property grid here, but only because it's a multi-line browse. Yeah. So what we want to do is you use the report control, but then add child records to the report control, but under condition. Okay. So let's switch back to a report control.
Yeah, that's really what my question was. It's just that I knew that showed the multi-line the way
You want to check? Yeah, that's fine. Now, if we have a look, the one with tree. Bum, 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 bum. Can't see if we're looking now. No, there, right next to
I
it.
didn't think of.
So you can see here now, this one that's got 1, 2, or you can pad it out even further. So you've got all that. That's got none. That's got none. That's got some more, same as the one above. And is that? Again, that's got, but it doesn't have to be. Basically, each one can have as little or as many as you want it to have. So yes.
Okay.
Is your answer. I would definitely tackle that with a report control. And apart from anything, I think the tree does help that. Now, you've got different styles of how visually you want that tree to look. But worst case scenario, that's the default one for that color theme. What's in action there? But yes, basically you could have that. You could show different icons for the particular type of record. So you could one icon for a header record, and maybe a det one for the det line, and a notes one for the note line, that type of thing, if you wanted to.
Yep.
But yes, basically all of that is really down to your own requirements. So you'll be building them under condition. So as you're reading your master records, your customers, then you can know, oh, they've got a balance, so let's add a child line, and it would be add child row. So you have add row, which does this, and you would have add child row, which would be that one. And on the add child row, you just tell it what parent to put it on. So that belongs to that. That one belongs to that. So a child can belong to a child, giving you a parentage type of thing. So yeah, so definitely you could have that. So you could have, I don't know if you want to go 3 tiers down or just 2 tiers. So you could just forget that one. You could just have your master and det and notes.
Well, no, actually, that might work out just right because I didn't go into the full detail, but in some cases we've got boats with 3 motors,
Right.
and they've got 3 engines. So you got a boat, 3 engines, and a trailer. So you actually could have 5 items.
Yeah.
So it would be, so you're using the report control with the tree.
Yeah.
But can that be put onto an as a browse enhancer, or does it have to be?
I wouldn't do. I don't think the browse enhancer is the best vehicle for that. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Because it's enhancing a standard Clarion browse, and the tree structure of the Clarion browse can be a bit lacking sometimes, to be fair. So I think I'd probably build that yourself under condition. But
you put me in the right direction. That's all I needed to know. Really, was what the best route would be to go after that.
Yeah, I would go down that personally.
Okay.
Can you do EIP on those children?
Time till I get it screwed up on my end, but I just wanted to. I didn't want to waste a lot of time on something that would be impossible to do.
No, you could definitely do that, and I'm trying to think of the list enhance, which might help you. Does it do a tree? I don't think it might do, it might not. But in that you're going to have to read them and either put them into a list or so on into a queue. You might as well just build it yourself while you're going through your records, it's going to be faster for you. Any
Yeah, well,
problems, give me a shout.
But most of it's already in some sort of queue anyway, because of the way I have to filter through it to see if it's got an attached motor. Sometimes the motor could be its own stock record. But so anyway, I'm already building a big queue, so that's already there.
Well, it would literally be span down your queue. For all your master records, for want of a for want of a better term, it would be add row.
Yep.
Keeping an ID, and probably if it's in a queue, the pointer of the queue is as good an ID as any. So you could have that, and then what I do, if I add a child to it, then I normally give it the ID of its parent with some kind of extra thing on the end. So, I don't know if it's a counter, or if this record's got its own ID, then it could be, say that was record 2, that was record 2 out of another table or something like that, then that'd be 2, and that'd be 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, that type of thing, So, but it's just a matter of giving them a unique ID. So every row has a unique ID, and personally, I just give children the ID of their parent, dot, and then their own ID. So if nothing else, you can see straight from one particular row ID, you can see straight away what its parentage is, just the way its ID is built. That's just a little tip. You don't have to. It's just, it works.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That would work for what I'm looking at doing. Because sometimes I've also got to write in there that there's a deposit, on hold, or remarks, and so it could get 5 or 6 rows long, or it might just be one row.
Yeah, well, like I say, we build, we use this for building for printouts and for display as well of patients' clinical notes within a medical system, and we build up their notes because you've got word wrapping in the actual control, so it's brilliant because you can have separate notes and you can word wrap the content. So, if you said about notes on yours, that might only be one particular row high, but if it's got War and Peace on it, then it would be bigger because it's got War and Peace in one particular field. But it's exactly what's stored, but the user gets to expand and contract as much or as little as they want. So it works really well.
Okay, thank you. That was just exactly what I needed to know.
No problem. And I think, David, you were asking, can you put the edit in place? And yes, it's the answer. Obviously, you have to say the edit in place on the particular column, and I think you could probably then control it via the row.
So, and even on the children one, no problem.
Yeah. As far as the control's concerned, it's just another row. It happens to have a different parentage, but that's all.
I gotcha. Okay, that could be pretty handy.
Okay, I'm trying to see if we've got any other questions.
Oh, hey, I do have one more for you, Andy.
Yeah, no, fire away.
This is Bill again. Let's say on the one that you're at, where you've got reference and reference, it's me again, and down to I don't understand, and it's me. Is there any kind of way to make that, like that whole block, have the same background color, and then the next row that's unrelated have its own color?
Oh, I get you. Yep. Yeah, can't see why not. You probably just have to. So what you're saying is like the. Did they call it green? Well, they call it green bar. Some people call it piano.
Instead of standard green bar, the green bar would be related to the parent record.
Yeah, so that would be that would be white. That's coloured. That would be white, but so would that, and that. That would be coloured.
Exactly.
That would be white. All of that would be coloured. That would be white. That, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Turn off the green bar. There's a setting in the actual template itself. 3. There you go. Turn off the report control doing the green bar for you. So it's on the options, appearance. No, but you will want to turn that fixed height off if you're putting notes in there, by the way. So you will want to turn that off. Oh, John, there's that single click. Editing single click and double click. Right.
I knew it was there.
I knew it was there, but for the life of me, bear in mind, it's probably 6 years, 7 years since I wrote that. So, yeah. Is it appearance? Retain, display, create. So, appearance on the third tab, create green bar. Turn that off. And then what you will have, if I just grab the actual report control, and I think it's set row background, something like that. Set row back color. So as you're adding them, you basically just keep a little flag, true, false, color true, color false, and just rotate it as every time you add a master record. That makes sense. So basically, let's just jump into this. If you was
Yep, no, that's perfect.
Yeah, if you're building it, it'd be false by default, so you wouldn't color it. Then you've added it, just toggle it, so now it's set to true, and all the ones that you're going to add now are true until you get to your next master one, then it's false, and just toggle it that way. And if it's set to true, call the set row back color with whatever color you're using,
Right.
So as you add your row and your child row, so if you added a row of, let's call it 1, and then you added a child row of 1.1, then basically that's what you would pass in there. So you call it twice, one for the parent, one for the child.
Yeah. Okay, that's actually easier than the Clarion one where you got to keep the 4 or 5 long variables out there for each record, for each item.
No, I mean, I think you can do it at the cell level if you like to. Set row cell back color, yeah. But basically, that's what all that's doing, because you can do it at the cell level. When I mean cell, I mean each one of these is an individual cell. You can do it at the cell level,
right?
But I've just added an overall set row, and it'll go and do all the cells for you to save you having to do it. And of course, you've got the 4 color as well, in case you needed it.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh.
Thank you.
No problems. Okay. Any other questions, or are we done? Don't feel we've actually accomplished much today, actually. Although we have given an update, but I think not answering John's questions left us feel a bit down about that. But I think John's asking for the impossible, which is nothing new.
Impossible. That's what we do around here.
We usually yes.
That's right.
So it's just a shame, but just can't think of a way of doing it. Maybe the checkbox thing is probably going to be your best option. Just maybe some kind of acknowledgement, and as they're doing that, you could allow them. They have the buttons to basically, delete the alert there and then. So you've got the best of both worlds. Oh, but I think that's going to be your best option. Might not be what you're after, but it's probably going to be the closest you're going to achieve. Unfortunately.
Do you think there might someday be a XAML way to do that?
It really comes down to detecting. But as David said, and it's not a bad thought. If you've got multi-select turned on, so let's say these are your alerts, and you go and select a few of them, and you had that was a clear alert. Obviously, you can go and select,
right,
and you could have that on the right click, and all the right clicks are doing. You just want the that to be your browse no records. Well, actually, if it's you could have a browse no records button. But what you're doing there is you're acting on all the currently highlighted ones. And remember, you've got a queue built for you automatically. That keeps itself synchronized. The selection queue.
I think that's That's what I ended up doing. Actually, it's just like that. Where you can there's just a button
Yeah.
on the outside of it instead of on the inside of the
Yeah,
cell. It's
so
outside the cell.
something along the lines of that. Have a browse no records button, which will handle the enable disable of anything being selected for you. Present and selected. Add it to the right click, which is just one of the options of that button, and have clear. It's not bad, and you've got the button on the screen as well. It does take up screen, real estate by having it on the screen. So, but from a usability point of view, it's not bad. I'm gonna say it's not bad. I've seen worse.
No, it's not bad. It's fine.
So, Michael, is Michael still here? Yes, I think so. Michael, I will try and get at least one of the because Michael's waiting for the command bar. The updates we mentioned earlier, I will try and get at least one of those updates to you before the next webinar for next week. So that should be good.
I know what Roberto wanted to ask you.
I thought you did do. Is there something more?
Heck, I don't even remember what I'm supposed to ask, but go ahead, John.
I know, because we were talking about it. We were talking about the virtual mode thing.
Oh, yeah, but
like
I did talk
to...
Right. I did talk to Andy about it, and he said, forget it. So,
yeah.
Maybe
I know, he said forget it, but we wanted... Okay. Yeah, you can tell me forget it. I'm just wondering why. Why would you say such a thing?
It's not worth the hassle. Okay, virtual mode for the report control. None of these have got a great deal of data in. What's that got in? Something like 18. Okay, virtual mode really kicks in when you think something like in the thousands, 10,000 plus, something like that.
Right.
Now, all it does is you have to tell it how many you want to start with. So you go, okay, I'm going to build a browse and I'm going to put 20,000 rows in there. It will create your equivalent of, I don't know what its equivalent is underneath the surface, probably maybe an array, or some kind of all the things defined to a particular array. So it's taking the memory up immediately, but they're all blank because it doesn't know what data you're going to put in there. It's just basically creates your placeholder for 20,000 rows, records. But then what you have to do is every time you want to go and paint it, you have to basically enable an extra event, which is one of the repaint events, and you have to paint over the top of the blank space what values you want to be displayed. That's virtual mode in earnest. So although it's faster at getting data in there, it's not really. It's just initializing with a lot of spare space, but then you're responsible for doing all your own painting. So the headache is it's just not worth the gain. It'll cost you a lot more work, and I just don't think the performance is worth it. You know the truth.
I guess I looked at the Kojak example, right, and they had like 1 million records or something, and it just comes right up, and that's what I was looking at.
Well, granted, like I say, I mean, imagine it's like creating a set of variables with arrays. You're newing them at runtime, so that's great, and they are an array, so you can say, right, create me a new field with 1 million dimension, and go, that's great, and Clarion would do it instantaneously. But you're still going to have to put data in there, which would slow it down. If they were to fill in their arrays with data, it would slow it down. So they cheat by having a placeholder for all that, but then painting over the top as and when you're required to. And don't know.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of a page-loaded browse in Clarion, right? It just loads in 12 records instead of
Although I think the principle,
12.
Yeah, the implementation is different, but the principle's the same. You've got 1 million records, but you're only ever going to bring in, page ahead, page behind, 60, 70 records at a time out of 1 million. So of course your speed is going to be, phenomenal. But you're not actually loading in the 1 million records. That's why.
Right, Right.
So it is the equivalent of. But you just
go faster.
Oh, agreed. But I think the screen repaint, it comes at a price. It does put an overhead on the screen repaint. I did originally look at it, but of course you do have the downfall of the user might put a filter in, and you don't know how many records are going to come back from that filter. So all of a sudden, you're going to create a report control with potentially your table has 1 million records in, but that filter's only going to bring back 300,000. Your scroll bar's not going to be worth anything because your scroll bar thinks there's 1 million entries in there.
You'd have to wipe them all out and just come back with your
kind of
SQL query or something.
Yeah, so
I know.
I did genuinely look into it early on when I first started doing work on the report control, and especially when it came to the enhancer. It was when I was doing the browser enhancer. I thought, well, I'll take a look at that and let's see about doing some speed increases that way and so on and so forth. But no, for what was involved and the overheads, not just from a programming point of view, but the screen I/O and so on and so forth, the gains just didn't seem worth it, and it was very messy.
Okay.
So when Roberto mentioned it to me, you have to go with your gut reaction. The gut reaction was no, walk away. It's not worth it.
Well, I saw that in the chat, but I didn't see the full explanation behind it, so I thought that was a good explanation, Andy.
No problem. Okay. Well, I think we're more or less done. You're seeing the way the property grid's going. That will continue. I'll try and get a beta of that out for the next, later this week, or probably weekend / next Monday, which will be good. But I will get a couple of the little jobs. So the syntax editor highlight that you saw, that build can get out, and probably the help IDs on the command bar, because that's a self-contained job, and it also updates free products at the same time. So we'll probably look at that this week as well. And that's it for this week then. Unless anyone's got any more, I think we're done. Okay.
Let's call it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Nice attendance. Hope you got something from it, and I will see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers. Bye.
Or we'll see you on Wednesday for the open webinar, or Thursday for Net Talk, or Friday for the weekly webinar.
Or Saturday for the Spanish one.
There you go.
Or later this afternoon.
You're running out of days this week.
Exactly. No more webinars. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay.
Right.
Cheers. Bye.